Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. I am Meichi from the Engineering Product Development Pillar. A good, afternoon to all of you. I hope all of you are safe, and keeping your spirits up, in this very challenging time. Okay, but meanwhile, the session that we are organizing today is meant to be interactive. It's meant to address your questions about what EPD is about. All right. So feel free to use the Slido code, all right? If let's say you want to keep your anonymity, basically be anonymous, all right? Or if you want, you can also type your questions in the chat. As we see it, we will also try to address these questions, all right? So the agenda for today, we are really keeping the so-called the PowerPoint presentation part short, all right? So we will be starting this session with our head of pillar, Professor Chua Chi Kai, who will be giving you a quick introduction about what EPD is about. Okay, Prof. Chua?
Hey, hi, thanks, Meichi. Perhaps for a start, Kat or Nadia, please maybe don't show the slides yet. I just want to look at all the students. I wonder if the students, do you mind turning on your camera so I can take a quick look at the faces? I think there are some familiar names here among the students. How many of you know me?
Everyone.
Everyone hands up.
Oh dear.
You will still get a GrabFood voucher.
Yeah. I was at NTU for 34 years before I came to SUTD 2 years ago. And during those years in NTU, I recall there was 2 years that I stayed in a hostel looking after a block of hostelites. Then it was during Chinese New Year. So I went around every door to give a pair of oranges. So I recall I knocked on this door, this student came out and I said, oh, where are you from? He said, oh, I'm from MAE. Then I said, oh, I'm also from MAE. Have you seen me before? The student said, no, I've not seen you before. So sometimes students go through 4 years and they can't remember the prof at all, So I hope you all remember me, if you are choosing. The other thing I wanted to very quickly find out is how many of you have already decided to come to EPD? Or today for you is fact finding, you are still on the fence, and you hope this session will help you make a decision. If you don't mind, perhaps show of hands whether those in option A confirm coming to EPD. No hands? Nanhan? Jia Ying? Some of the names I'm familiar with.
Keep the hand coming.
All the hands are coming in. I don't see any hands. Okay, I presume that most of you are here on a fact-finding mission. So we have some sharing, and actually we have quite a lot of questions from all of you. So we'll be spending a bit more time on answering the questions. So I'll do a very quick presentation, and some of my slides will also address some of your questions that I already asked. So Nadia, if you can show the slides. Okay, thanks, Nadia. So that's me smiling very happily. So I think one of the things we have always said to both industry employers who employ our students and also our incoming students is that we are offering an education with a difference. And we always differentiate ourselves from NTU and NUS. And I have 10 points here. Of course, there are more than that, but these are 10 key points. Now, in view of time, I won't go through, but if you come to EPD, you will be for sure learning a holistic education, lots of problem solving because there are a lot of hands-on projects, work in a team because that's important, small cohort size, I think you're already experiencing it in your freshman year. Everything you do, you always tackle from the design point of view, and multidisciplinary because you'll be dealing with mechanical, electrical, electronics, manufacturing, all those different disciplines in coming out of a product. But the last and not least is we are actually preparing you for the industry of tomorrow. So what we want you guys is to go out there and transform the industry. It's changing very fast, but I think we can be the leaders. you can be the one to go out there to transform industry 4.0, for instance, or even to 5.0. So we hope you'll be industry ready and future ready. Next slide. These are very interesting surveys published first by Straits Times and later by Today. You'll find that our graduates do very well compared to their peers in the other universities. We get slightly higher pay, and actually the employment rates are also better. Next slide. On the same day in Today, there was an article about the great demand for engineers and product managers. And this is what EPD is all about, preparing you for the industry in the area of product development. And there's a huge talent crunch. So in other words, you will be in great demand by the time you graduate from EPD, SUTD. Next slide. So these are the employment status we got from the career office. So again, our graduates are doing very well in terms of the finding a job within the first 6 months, 94.6%. These are the top hiring companies. AMD takes a lot of our electrical, DSO, both mechanical and electrical tracks, DSTA as well. And Dyson, just for the information of all, they came in with funding a project, 3D printing project last year, and they were very pleased with what they have seen in our graduates, so much so they are now working a joint lab with us. So you'll hear the news in November, it will be announced, and this lab will be featured in SUTD campus itself. So they have a feel and look of Dyson on campus. And of course, there will be a lot of projects working closely with Dyson. They will send the engineers here to mentor the students as well. So, and there are others as well, but I will leave it for Q&A. Next slide. Okay, I think what we'll do here is we will probably skip most part of the profs because I just say a sweeping generous statement. All our profs are very good. All right, so they are on papers, they're done well, they are sought after. They are always in the news like Hui and all that. So I'm trying to save time. So I will try to skip all these slides about some of our faculty. Next slide. Yeah, Mohan. Yeah, move on. Sorry, guys, I skipping some of the great work of our colleagues. Next slide. Okay, I think this one, there were quite a fair bit of questions being asked by our students. Naturally, you are concerned, after I graduate, where do I go? If you see on the left, all these little yellow circles are actually different industry sectors. Some of these are verticals, which means you go in aerospace or marine offshore. Others are horizontal. So you can play the role of a consultant in many different areas. Then the kind of companies that took our graduates are those on the right-hand side. So it's a mixture of those from private companies as well as those from government sectors. So again, very diverse. It also means our students are treasured. They are hot stuff, Our employers are always courting our graduates. Next slide. So these are some names of your seniors who are working in very diverse fields, graduating from different tracks offered by EPD. Next slide. Oh, there are some of you who might think that I still want to study. 4 years not enough. I want to reach the epitome. The highest of education is, of course, PhD. We usually call it permanent head damage. So don't worry, we will offer you prayer, healing, and deliverance. So you still get your highest of possible degree with us. Or if not, you can go overseas as well. So we have some of them going to MIT, Stanford, and also in Europe, like ETH, Zurich. Next slide. Now, this is a path less tread. Some of you may be very business-minded. You may want to start off a company on your own. And if you have this passion, it will be great because it's something we strongly encourage our graduates to take upon as well. You never know, one of you may become a unicorn, unicorn by definition means you are able to raise $1 billion US. And if I ever do it, Hong Yi and I will each one take 1% from you. All right, next slide. All right, every year we have EPD valedictorian. That again speaks well of our students who have done very well. In fact, last Sunday, we just graduated the 2021 batch, and we have Amos, our 2021 valedictorian. The 2020th batch will be end of this month. All right, we otang them because last year we got COVID, but we will still do it in the end of October. Next slide. So Ken Chua came out very much under the limelight because of the fact that he was one of the under 30 years old Asian social entrepreneur 2019. He has a passion for people with disabilities, and that's why he formed this company called Disabilities. So working with applications, apps, all kinds of things that will help those with visual impairment or other kind of disabilities. So very passionate and has done very well as well. All right, I will go through this very quickly. This is the latest of all the tracks that we have come up with. And mainly, I think we are the only one so far who has come up with this at the undergraduate level in Singapore. So this is an opportunity for you to learn all the exciting technologies. If you look at the 6 boxes here, these are deemed as the 6 most exciting technologies of the current decade. Very, very exciting things to do. But more so, we want you to be trained not just at the various components, but at the interface. For instance, can I apply AI in AM? Or can I use robotics in 3D printing, especially in building and construction? So these are the things we hope to impart to our students. And is this of interest to the industry? Yes, next slide. You can see we work closely with the companies. We already have quite a number of awards sponsored by companies like Makino, Mayban, Autodesk, Evonik. So our students go through these courses, they also stand to win various awards, either through projects or just topping the class. And we also have the element of going exchange. Hopefully next year, there will be a chance for you to go on exchange. 3 of the exchange awards are provided on Makino and Mayban, so students can actually spend a term overseas, either US, Europe, or Asia, and take courses in lieu of the courses at SUTD. So you learn about Industry 4.0. Next slide. This is also a award given by Dyson, mainly because they wanted to encourage learning 3D printing, or the official term is additive manufacturing. So this year we started the first run. Next January will be the second one. Next slide. Okay, these are some of the winning awards within that competition. So next slide. Yeah, all the other rest. Okay, I've gone like a choo-choo train so that there's more time for Q&A. So Hong Yi, I hand over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Chikai. Welcome, Term 3 students. So I'm Hong Yi. I'm not going to show any slide. So I'm going to be very quickly kind of introduce myself here as an associate head of the pillar. But I also run the Digital Manufacturing and Design Research Center in SUTD. Generally, I kind of take care of research related matter in EPD. So if any one of you is interested in pursuing research, or even want to kind of get your hand, explore research, feel free to drop me an email if you don't know who to talk to. But of course, as I always said, one of the best ways to find out, what each of the faculties are doing in terms of research, check out their website. Feel free to write to them. But then again, I guess year after year, we tend to hear feedback like, student is not sure how to get themselves started. So if you are one of those, feel free to drop me an email. Be happy to kind of share with you the kind of research that happens in EPD and who you can talk to. So that's, I'm offering myself here. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop here.
Okay,
over
cool.
to you.
Thanks a lot, Hong Yi. So yeah, basically, actually, all of us, all the different faculty members are all very accessible. And honestly, if we don't know how to find an answer for you, yes, we will usually direct it to our close friends within the pillar or out of the pillar as well. So don't hesitate. Meanwhile, all right, to address the bulk of the questions coming in from basically the RSVP questions that some of you were asking, basically we have Professor Feng Xiaohui, who will take over the next segment of this presentation. So Xiaohui, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Mechi. So let me look my things. Yeah, so hope you all are enjoying your 3rd semester. I think it's quite an eventful semester. Hopefully it gets better. So let me go through so right now hopefully you can see my screen. So you can see that right now you're in term 3. So almost done in Freshmore, so good. That's gonna be great. So from now you will do the first, I would say the most important choice, one of the most important choice in SUTD is to choose a pillar. And so I will go through a specific on what you will do if you choose the EPD. Of course, for all the pillars, you have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So essentially 5 more semesters in your chosen pillar, be it ESD, ICD, DAI, or EPD, or ESD. Right, so you will have 4, 5. That's normally the sophomore and junior years, and then for 6 and 7, there'll be 1 year and 8. So you're actually on the first batch that we will move into this calendar. You're the very first one. So when you graduate, you will be in 20. So 20, 21, 22, and 24. May of 2024. Right. So that's that. So let me go to the next slide. Yeah. So this is the detailed part. I removed the 1, 2, 3. We only cover 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for EPD, right, this is the an overview of the EPD curriculum. Term 4 and 5, right, you can see is mostly filled up with black color courses. Black color courses means they are the core classes. You must take it. There's no choice. And then of course in so 4 you take like very important. As an engineer, you definitely know about structures, materials, right? Basic thing about how mechanical systems. And then you cannot be complete as an engineer without doing some electronics. Hence there's this circuits and electronic class. And third is our signature 30007 class. So if you thought 3007 is good, this is the best. Yeah, this is the signature class of EPD. You can ask any EPD alumni and they will talk fondly about this course. Right, then this is for term 5, you will go into system control, which I teach personally, and it's a very important course. So you know how to model systems, you know how to model how they react, and then how to control them. So it's important, and no matter what industry you go to, this is an important field. We also are launching for you guys for the first time this class called the Computation and Data-Driven Engineering. So this is actually of teaching you how to solve equations, the numerical analysis programming. So it's a very interesting class. I think you will all enjoy it. And in term 5, you will, as an EPD student, need to make the first choice on what classes to take. So in term 5, you have to choose between fluids and electromagnetics. Technically, if you ask me, right, it's the same course. The only difference is whether you apply in different fields. So the underlying nature of this class is partial differential equations. And it's either you try to analyze it for electromagnetics, which is a PDE, or fluids, which is also described by a PDE. Yeah, so depending on which track you would choose, I will go over that into detail. You will have to choose certain classes here. For 6, 7, and 8, we will go into the electives, where depending on the tracks that you choose, you can be very, very varied. And for 6, 7, 8, you can take either EPD classes. You can definitely choose EPD, or you can take, of course, cross-pillar classes, take ESD, ICD, or even from the technical electives as well. So 6, we call it the pillar electives, and then so 7 and 8, we call it the advanced pillar electives. So typically the courses in 7 and 8 will require you to know some knowledge from 6, 5, and 4. Right, and of course 7 and 8 will have your capstone, and then by then you should be done by term 8. Right. So these are the list of electives that you can take as an EPD student. It's actually not exhaustive because you can take from ESD, ICD, DAI as well. But these are the courses that are from EPD themselves. So actually, if you compare, EPD has the highest number of electives in the entire SUTD. You can check, guaranteed. We have the most, and you can see that we go into very technical details. You can go into dynamics, material science, entrepreneurship, very detailed. You can even go into robotics, nano electronics and stuff. So it's very technical. Depending on what you want, you can actually choose different courses and select. And I'll talk about the tracks later. And so there are 7 tracks of EPD. We have 2 main tracks, not one say 2 main tracks, 2 of the more traditional tracks that you're probably accustomed to, mechanical and electrical. And these 2 are a little special because they have been approved by the PE board, so that if you want to become a professional engineer, which I'll cover later. I know there are some questions on this, I will cover that. If you're interested to become a PE, which stands for professional engineer, you must take these 2 courses. There's this 2 tracks, right? But if not, if this thing doesn't really interest you, you are free to explore our other 5 tracks, including computer engineering, Beyond 4.0, which is a new track, robotics, and healthcare. Healthcare is particularly a very popular one that has gained a lot of interest for the past few years. And if none of these tracks makes you excited, you can always create your own called the self-directed program. Right. So maybe I start off with the most flexible, essentially the self-directed track. So in this case, you will be able to choose whatever class you want to take in EPD. Any of the EPD courses that is available that day, you can take it. As long as you have the necessary prereqs, you can take it. So this is meant for students who really know what they want, and the courses that they want to take do not fall into any of the official tracks. then you can do this. I highly recommend for this. And this self-directed track is probably the best if you are looking to do a minor, because for a minor, you need to take classes outside EPD. And this, because of the flexibility involved, is very easy. I will go through robotics, but I don't think I will go through all of them. So if robotics, right, you can see, I want to highlight the fact that if you're in robotics tracks, it makes sense that you must take robotics, right? It's not why we call it robotics track. So you can see for term 7, intelligent robotics 30119 is in red. When it's red, right, that means you must take this course as a robotics track student. Right. So you can see right now, instead of 30xxx, now the selection of the courses has been a little constrained for you, so that we guide you towards, like, if you're interested in robotics, we sort of know or sort of suggest that you should take these courses. And all these courses are constrained. So you can see term 6, instead of any classes, we constrain it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for term 7, you can see we also constrain it a little. If you want, you can check what these courses. But you can still, because of the SUTD policy, you can still replace any of these 3 courses. As long as you see an asterisk, you can replace any of these courses with a class that's outside EPD. So if you're interested today, say machine learning, AI and stuff, you can replace up to 3. But of course, you cannot replace the one that is in red. So this course, like intelligent robotics, you cannot switch it out. If you switch it out, then it's very hard to say that you're robotics. And then, of course, there's computer engineering. Computer engineering is done with collaboration with ISTD. So here you'll see a lot of ISTD courses. So you can see a lot of green color courses cross-elective. So you are highly encouraged to take courses from ISTD. You realize that you don't need to, but you definitely can. And then, of course, for CE track, you will have to take EN. You cannot take fluids. You also need to take 30110, which is the digital systems lab. Right. And then we have the healthcare class, healthcare track. Also very popular, and we have 2 core classes in this track which you must take, which is both very popular and very well known. 3203, topics in biomedical and healthcare engineering and healthcare product design. For this track, I realized that many of the students will be also interested to take the healthcare informatics minor. You can. It's actually complementary, you can do that. But it's okay, you can also take other minors like AI minor, CS minor, ES minor. I will go through that as well. But if you're in healthcare track, and you want to do the healthcare minor, is very, very nice. You can consider doing that. Right, then of course we have the ME track. So ME track, what is going to be a little different is below here, you can see that you can still replace 3 with any other classes, but the number of courses is a bit constrained because this track, as well as the EE track, is scrutinized heavily by the board of professional engineers. So the PE board will check through what are the courses that you can take, and they unfortunately did not allow you to take any course you want. So, but they have went through the list and approved certain classes that you can take if you want to change out any of these classes for something outside EPD. So you can take like machine learning, AI, global health, all this you're allowed. Yeah, and the reason they do this is so that if you're in ME track and if you want to do an AI minor, you can do it without overloading. If not, you might have to do overloading, but with this list, you can. So ME track, difference is you must take fluids, you must take MED, which is machine element design, right? Okay, so after that, that's EE track. E and ME very similar, except that for instead of MED, for term 6, you need to take power electronics, and in term 8, you need to take this course called electric power systems analysis and design. Just like the ME tracks, there's this asterisk you need to read. You can only replace it with approved electives, and the list is just here. So don't worry, this sheet we can send to you, this slide you can send to you so you can check it, and or it's also available on our website. I would like to talk about the Industry 4.0, which is a new track, and this track, you can see we also strongly promote our students from EPD to take courses outside of our pillar. It can be ESD, ISTD as well. Right, so you can actually take courses from EPD from ISTD. ESD is like optimization. You can take machine learning, foundation or cybersecurity and stuff like that. So it's a very versatile program, quite new. And the signature course for this track is the Industry 4.0 and 3D printing class with Prof. Chua and Prof. Hui Ying teachers. Very, very interesting. There's also engagement with Dyson. Also, this is one of the tracks that's also a lot of awards. So I strongly suggest, if you have no track in mind, do consider the Beyond Industry 4.0 track. So this is maybe I ran through what are the different areas. So Beyond 4.0, right, there's actually like 7 areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Obviously, if you take all these areas, you will not be able to graduate in time. So we allow you to choose and select which one you want. So maybe you're interested in robotics, you take more courses in robotics. Maybe you're interested in AI and machine learning, you can take more courses in that. So we allow you to mix and match for this track. Right. So for the minor programs, there are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minor programs in SUTD. Every year I upgrade it, is increasing. So, but in general, to do a minor program in SUTD, you need to take 5 courses. And these 5 courses, normally 2 of these are cross-listed with your like normal requirements. 3 of them must be, 2 of them must be required from the host minor program. So for example, if you're doing a CS minor, 2 of these must be core classes in SUTD. Then the remaining 3 can be almost anything. And most of the time, most students will choose the courses that are offered from EPD so that they don't have to do overloading. Right. So again, so you just need to have 5 courses for the minor program. I'll just go through a few of them. The first one is, of course, the dive minor, which is provided by EPD. For here, you need to take 4 courses. And if you're an EPD student, right, all 4, you will definitely take easily. 30.7 entrepreneurship, you can actually take it normally. And then you have to take the special capstone called the entrepreneurship capstone for 01400 and 01401. And then you just take one of the classes from the remainder, which are HAS. So as long as you choose one of these special HAS editions, you will be able to do dive minor. Again, this is recommended for students who are interested to maybe create their own company. Highly recommend this. Next one is also a very popular one called the AI minor, which I think now because of the rage in AI. To do this, you need to take 3 courses from ISTD, which is 5003 or 5004. You must take one of these, not both. One of these, take one of the machine learning classes, can be from ICT or the ESD machine learning, and of course, artificial intelligence. I mean, if you don't take this, cannot be an AI minor. For the remaining 2, you need to choose 2 from this list here. And most of the time, you will notice I bolded these classes here. The reason why I bolded is because these are EPD classes, so that you can double count this towards your major, which is for your EPD, as well as your minor programs. So 2 in 1. If not, if you, let's say, decide to choose 50020 for network security, you can choose this to satisfy the minor, but it will not satisfy the EPD. So that means you will have to overload, take an extra classes. Not to say cannot, just that it's less popular. Most people try to maximize this. Another very popular minor is the CS minor, which is technically called the IS minor. Here, you just need to take 3 courses from ICD. Some of the selection is here, so the list is here. And then for the remaining 2, again, you can choose from this selection here, which is EPD courses. So many of the courses here, like system control, you will take it as an EPD student. So naturally, you will actually satisfy this quite easily. So ES minor also seems similar. So if you're interested to get a minor from ESD, you just take the 3 courses. So 1 is required, 2 from ESD. So depending on which you're interested, and then last 2 from this list. And again, I recommend you take from the EPD list so that you don't have to take too many courses. This is a relatively new one that's open only for you guys from you guys onwards, which is the healthcare informatics. So here, to do the HI minor, you need to take these 4 courses. And these 4 courses are not offered every semester, so you have to be careful when it's offered. And for this, you have from the remaining 4, after you take all these 4 courses, you need to choose from 1 from the remainder. You can see that one of them here, only one of them, unfortunately, is the EPD course. And this is the topics in biomedical and healthcare engineering. So you realize here, 30203 is already counted in the healthcare track. So if you take the healthcare track, you automatically satisfy this. So I strongly recommend you consider this if you want to do that. And then there are 2 more minor programs, which I don't want to go to my detail, is the DTS and the digital humanities. I don't want to go through it because not many people really want to pursue it, but if you want, you can. Yeah. So these are the minor programs I have. So I think I went through the summarized version of what I want to cover. I think now we have some specific questions. So maybe we can run through them.
Yeah, sure. No problem at all. So, but I think before we run through that, I think there's one question that was asked related to curriculum, but the slides are still here. And it's also in the chat, which is why did we, shift 30.7 from term 5 to term 4?
Very good question. So why is 30.7 4 and not 5? Yeah, so last time you're right, 30.7 used to be in term 5. As you realize, term 5 is a very lonely semester. You see that term 5 is literally by itself. And 30.7 is an important course because just now I show you the dive minor. Right? It's required for other students to take it. And if it's in term 5, your friends and the other pillars would never be able to take it. So that's why we decided to move from 30.7 to term 4. So that for other pillars in term 6 and term 8, there's a chance for them to take this course. Yeah, so this is the reason why it's this. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Xiaohui. So meanwhile, what we will be doing is trying to address the questions that is appearing both on Slido as well as the earlier questions that were submitted. So I have broadly categorized these questions. Yeah, most of them, the guru here, Xiaohui, will be able to answer, all right? But amongst the first group of questions, right, I would suggest that many students are very concerned about is about the background, the types of student we are looking for. Do they need to be very strong in their physics? Is their results in the physics 1 and 2 a good indicator about their suitability? Do they need to be very, very creative? So these are some of the questions that a number of students have been asking, and it got upvoted in Slido as well. So Xiaohui, over to you.
Yeah, so I guess I can jump in, then maybe someone else can help me. So I would say, I mean, definitely in engineering, you will definitely make use of physics and math. There's no question about it. But I do think the physics and math in the term 4, term 5, 6, 7, 8 in EPD is much more applied. That means we are less interested in the theoretical reason of why to solve it, but more of how to apply it and solve it. So if you're a person who can visualize stuff, can see not just why the math is there, I think it's okay. Maybe I give a good example. So for system control, because I teach system control, we use math, definitely. We will need to use like Newton's second laws and stuff like that. But we don't go into very abstract understanding of the equations. We have a way to model systems, and it's something physical. You can definitely see it. And yeah, we are less concerned on the actual way to solve it. I mean, solving an equation is important. I mean, if you definitely, but understanding how to get to the equation is more important. Yeah, this is what I would say. So I would say, if I will be lying to say you will not see physics and math, it's impossible. You definitely will see it, but we will not be in a setting where in a typical math or physics class where we come up with equation, then you just solve for the sake of solving. We typically don't do that anymore. If we want to solve the equation, there's a reason, because we want to find out the answer so that we can answer the more important questions. I don't know whether someone else can jump in for this.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I can also share a little bit, right? So essentially, are we looking for a specific type of students with a specific kind of skills? I don't think so. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, if you look at the way we have designed the tracks, it is quite diverse. It can be anything ranging from a healthcare-oriented track, to, let's say, your robotics, to your computational engineering, for example. Okay, so it's very broad. So, and likewise, we do not necessarily okay, give me a second. We do not necessarily expect you to basically be well versed in both physics 1 and physics 2. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, like, when Xiaohui was sharing, right, you can choose, do you want to do something more mechanical, or do you want to choose something that is more electrical, right? So the reason, one of the benefits about EPD, in a sense, when you have these many tracks, these many electives to choose from, is you can now tailor the curriculum based on your strengths, all right, if you ask me. Okay, we have classes that are very theoretical. So for students who like the more theoretical aspects of things, there are quite a number of these classes. Likewise, for students who love to use their hands, we also have that kind of classes, the lab-based classes. I think these are things where during the sharing sessions, when you meet with your academic mentor, if you choose to, all right, we can guide you better towards how you can tailor it according to your strengths. I think very frequently we have Note here today, Shini and Vivati, all right, who can also sometimes come in. I know that they have their chat groups, all right, where they share, their personal experiences about taking the different classes, all right. And I think now there's an EPD Connect, where you can even connect to the alumni. It's students only, so no faculty. So yes, you can say anything you want also, right? So you can share these experiences to guide you towards, how you want to tailor your so-called undergraduate experience to your strengths. So that is where, we can say that. Yeah, actually, just because I'm still online, right? Shini, I think there's a question about how to become an EPD rep. All right, so you can prepare yourself for that. I will get to you later. Okay, so that is regarding so-called the background. All right, I think what is also interesting is, in many of these classes, we have one class where students from different tracks generally come together. So you learn to work with students with different strengths as well. So you don't need to be necessarily the one who is very good in coding, all right? Someone else could be the one who's very good in coding, the one who chose, let's say, the computational engineering track, all right? So you learn to work together in that sense. And I think that is more important. But the core set of skills will be there. I mean, that's why you have the term for core, all right, where it really separates you from all the other disciplines, all right, as in that sense, different pillars. So Hong Yi, the rest, you have anything to chime in?
I would just kind of give it a different perspective. Like, for example, for those of you who are interested in healthcare, there you will, very likely see lesser kind of physics type of courses. So yes, whether you are one for physics or not, or one for chemistry or not, it does not it's not a substantial enough indicator whether you, based on that, is EPD for you or not. I actually think that, by looking at the tracks that we offer and the courses that we offer, it's a better indication of, are these, the subjects that you're interested in learning.
Okay. Yes, so sorry, I'm a bit distracted at the same time because I'm also looking at the Slido. Can I check, because there's the top voted question, which is where can we find this slide? Are you referring to the slides that Xiaowei has shared? Can someone indicate to me somehow? Because I think that one, we can work together with Xiaowei in terms of how we can share it. But these are slides that, generally, we will share it with students. When they come into the pillar, during our basically individual advising sessions. Okay, so don't worry about that. You'll see it many times.
Yeah, if I can share on my course, shall we, my one on the Industry 4.0 and 3D printing. So this course that I teach in red, I teach the part on 3D printing, and the entire course is based on my book, and there's totally no equation. So it doesn't mean that every 3D printing method is without theory. There is physics behind it, but then the intention of the course is not so much to teach you all the complex equations, how the 3D printing method is optimized and things like that. It's not. The idea is to expose you to all the different technologies that are out there and what kind of applications they can offer. So it will be very helpful for you when you go out to the company. You will know which is more suitable for what kind of application. Because there are so many types, you really need to know the pros and cons of every single one and how it works. So no equation doesn't mean there's no physics. There is. It's just that our focus is not that, and we feel it's just not important. But if you're trying to do a PhD subsequently, yes, then we will expose you to research papers. But at undergraduate level, there's really no need. So I just give my experience from a course that I'm involved in. Thanks, Michi.
Yeah, no problem. So I will go on to the next part, all right, before I address the other top question, which is very much related to, the exchange programs. So one of the top questions that came in, so it's based on sequence, is basically, there are a lot of tracks that appear very identical, right? And we need to make choices. It could be between pillars, all right? It could be within, the tracks available in EPD. Right, so take for example, we have just across the different pillars, you have DAI, ISTD, computational engineering, and now you can do a healthcare informatics, very computational oriented, right? So maybe Xiaowei, you can comment a little bit about, these subtle differences and how can we guide students to best choose? Because by the way, just like I think for healthcare, you have healthcare EPD, you have healthcare in basically ISTD also, and then now you have the healthcare informatics minor. All right. So Xiaowei, if you can, share a little bit about choosing tracks in general.
Yeah, so the good thing about EPD is that when you join EPD, right, you don't have to choose the track immediately, because for at least term 4, you realize that all the tracks have to take the same 4 courses. So actually, I would highly recommend to use the term 4 as a way of deciding which track you would like to go to, because the term 4, right, has structures, circuits, and engineering, the 30.7, And I think from my cases, speaking to students, many of them finally know what they want to do in this term. Because there's a very good introduction of mechanical, electrical, and then there's a project. For people who already know what they want, like healthcare, right? The good thing is, even you go to term 5 for healthcare, and then you go to healthcare. For healthcare, you can realize that it still doesn't matter. You can choose fluids and EM, and you can still come into this track later. And of course, there are definitely students who change track halfway through. You're allowed to switch track. There's nothing wrong with that. And then if really the track does not work out, you can always switch to the self-directed. Means you design your track, it becomes your track. Yeah, that's the other way. Yeah, so but by default, I think many students still default play it safe. Of course, one of the first few they will choose either one of these EE or E tracks. That's the most common. For those who do not know which one to do, they will be a bit more traditional. But again, for ME and E track, I would just want to remind you, the only reason why you want to select these two is if you want to have a potential career as a professional engineer in Singapore, maybe these two will be good. And then again, let me highlight, there are about only 5,000, less than 5,000 professional engineers in Singapore. Less than 5,000. And then if you're wondering, I think some of the question was what's a PE? So a PE is an engineer, experienced engineer who can sign off drawings so that they make the calculation and see that this drawing is correct. Then when they build it, it will not collapse. Yeah, or if something collapses, they will hunt down this person who will sign off this document. So if you have no interest in doing any of this, like the ME or E track, it doesn't matter. You can choose any other tracks. You don't lose anything. Yeah, because all the EPD the degree, right, is accredited. It doesn't matter which track you are taking, is all accredited. The only reason is if you're considering a career as a professional engineer, then I would suggest you choose one of the ME and EE tracks. If not, if you want to do ME to become a professional engineer, you have to take a master's degree. Yeah, I mean, you still can. Yeah. So that's what I say. So that's what I suggest for. Yeah.
Sorry, I think on this there was a question whether we have any of our graduates who became a professional engineer? Anyone know?
Yeah. So the problem with that, then I must have to go to that right now. The problem with that, this is the requirement for a professional engineer. You need to work for 4 years. So if I calculate, our first batch is about 2015, 2016. Right now, they can only start to apply. Yeah. So to become a professional engineer is not something you can just decide, I want to become a PE right now. Unfortunately, there are some requirements here. You have to have a valid degree, which technically you are already on. You need to pass an exam, both oral or written, depending, or the FEE and PE. And the most critical part is you need to have 4 years of working practical experience. Working in SUTD does not count. You need to work like in a real engineering firm and stuff like that. So as I said, you go calculate right now, 2021, you get calculate, it's 2016. And our first batch of students graduated only in 2015. So it will not surprise me that we currently don't have any, but I'm sure there are a few who are working towards it. Yeah. So that's the thing. Again, only 5,000 registered PE in Singapore. Yeah, it's a very niche area. But if you're interested in this area, then it becomes so that you can have this certificate in front of your office, then by all means, yeah.
Then again, if you are motivated by money, I recall 2 weeks ago during the address to term 6, this guy said he's motivated by money. So Shao, if you can show the Beyond Industry 4.0, the page that has all the awards.
Oh, I don't have it here. I didn't have it here.
Oh, you don't have it here. Do you have it, Nadia, somewhere?
Actually, if you just to add on, because EPD got a lot of classes, right? So I think a lot of the classes, not every class also has book prize awards, so you got a lot of chance.
Yeah, our EPD has the most awards. A lot of awards. We brought in a lot of scholarships also. So if you look at just Beyond Industry 4.0, this track we got Autodesk giving out $5,000 for the most outstanding student. So I think the first intake, shall we, about 16? Thereabout.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, so you only
So
have 15
20.
competitors. Once you eliminate them, you get $5,000, right? Then within the track, you can take courses. If you take a course in this subject itself, which is compulsory, you get 2,005 if you top the class from Mayban. And then within that same class, there is also a 3D printing project sponsored by Dyson, and that's now 2,005. So within one track, potentially you can win more than $10,000 cash. This is not vouchers. This is real cash. Yeah. So of course I don't wish you are motivated by money. Your motivation must always be something useful to further your career, something you can use for the rest of your career, the new industry you're going into. But I've said beyond industry 4.0 is something which is very disruptive, something that will prepare you for the future. Okay,
Okay.
I sorry, I don't want to call you too much. It seems that I'm only selling this track.
Basically, two more questions coming in from Slido that I would like to just very quickly address. So one question is, who can you speak with about basically choosing your tracks, your electives, etc.? Well, you will all be assigned an EPD academic mentor, right? So every year before you choose and create your study plan for the term, you can choose to go speak to them if you so choose, right? The other questions that I think I can very quickly address is, what are the chances of students getting the electives that they apply for? Now, there are some common combinations, right, which I would say there would be safe combinations where we know, all right, the timetable will not clash, all right? Every year, that is also the reason why we have a study plan exercise, to allow students to choose, what are the likely subjects that you take. Based on the results there, we try to basically craft a calendar or timetable to basically suit the majority, all right? So in terms of being able to be given the electives that you apply for, generally speaking, we always try to accommodate, all right? But, if there's a timetable clash, especially if the timetable clash is with a different pillar, then things are out of our hands, okay? So there is these little nuances, all right, that becomes unpredictable, just like any other school, right? If you go to the larger university, it is the same issues that many of us generally will face, all right? So the next so-called, I would say, very popular question, all right, because I think many students, all right, despite this pandemic, are still looking forward to the possibility of going on a term 6 exchange. Right. So if they have to go on a term 6 exchange, the question becomes, how can they ensure that they can still remain within the track that they have chosen, right? Let's say they chose MAC-E track, basically how can they ensure that basically they are still able to go on exchange? Okay, so Xiaohui, can you take this question?
Yeah, so for this one, if you're going for term 6 and term 6, if you're going to spend it overseas, when you choose the classes to go overseas, you must select courses that are still in the track. That is something that needs some planning. Yeah, so then we will have to work with your mentor to select the courses so that we can transfer over and back. So the good thing is for term 6, the courses that you can select is quite wide. So, and most of the courses that we offer, many universities also offer, so we can definitely try to transfer it back. But of course, if you choose to go on a semester where the course is a little bit more specialized, then it's a little harder. But we try our best to accommodate as much as we can. Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, also remember, we also have this, you're allowed to replace 3 courses for unrestricted electives. So you can choose to change all 6 courses in that semester to unrestricted. But again, this is okay for almost every other track except ME and EE tracks, which is a little bit more constrained because of the fact of the PEB requirements. So that's why I suggest if this doesn't really matter to you, right? Then you don't have to worry about the track requirements for ME and EE. Yeah, so don't forget. So the thing is, first try your best to find the courses in the university that you're going to have the similar courses. Most of them have 1 or 2. If you cannot find, then use your the bullet that you have for the unrestricted electives, so you can swap out any of this so that you can go. Yeah, this is my recommendation.
All right, so that is largely about the exchange program aspects. I think the other question, Xiaohui, because I'm not so familiar with 30007, I think some students may need some reassurance, right? Maybe they heard it from the seniors because they are concerned that they may not have enough hardware, I guess, prototyping skills. All right, so they feel that now if you move it to term 4, they may not be ready. So how?
I don't think so. I mean, based on my experience with Pablo, because Pablo teaches the course, I think, to be honest, term 4, term 5, not too much of a difference. I really don't see it. It won't be your last design project, that's for sure. This is not something that you only do once. Every semester, you're going to have to do a design project anyway, so I don't see how 1 semester division is going to change too much. Yeah. Yeah, so I
I
don't think you need
guess-
to worry. So I think the king is don't need to worry.
Yeah, I guess to chime in here, it's because most of these project courses are still a teamwork. So there's always a lot of chance to learn from the peers. We haven't really seen, I guess over there, you haven't really seen this being a showstopper for any EPD students.
All right. I think we'll be okay lah, honestly, you know, if there's any reassurances that I can give anyone. It will be tough, all right, but you know, that's how they create diamonds, right? Under supreme stress. Okay, so I think I'm also now looking through the past questions, not to forget the students who have submitted the questions earlier, all right? So I think there is another question, Xiaohui, if you can help to address, is about the computer engineering aspects, you know, what are the differences, as well as, you know, how much coding is required, you know, for taking the computational engineering track.
For the CE track lah. Is this the one by itself or compared to ICD one?
Both, I combine both, like, can try, you
Okay,
can
okay.
answer both at the same time, yeah.
Yeah. So I have the CE track here. So actually I don't know if you realize, so in EPD, we have this thing called the computer engineering track, which actually was designed such that you can take a lot of courses in ICD. This was done before we had the AI minor, IS minor. So before that, before SUTD had minors, this was the only way to do courses from other tracks. So this is quite a popular one in that sense. So I would say that, so they can see from here, you can take quite a number of interesting ICD classes if you're from EPD by default. Yeah. So whether you need coding, of course, I think definitely that's not just ICD courses. Many of the EPD courses, you need some form of coding. It might be for, like, say, system control, you need to use some form of MATLAB. Yeah. And don't worry, the background that you had from your freshman courses is sufficient to get you started. Yeah. And many of the courses that you're getting for ICD also, they will assume that you have some basic knowledge of programming. Don't worry, you'll be able to catch it up. Yeah. So I think if you're interested, like if you're on the fence, don't know whether ICD or EPD is good for you, this is one of the best compromise. You can do both. Then you might be wondering, can I do this in ICD? So actually, ICD used to be able to do something like us, but they don't have it anymore. So the only way for you to have a tour is from EPD. There's no ICD with an EPD track anymore. They don't have it. And I wanted to show you because I went to check, because we used to have it, they used to have it, but they no longer have it. So here, I went to click here. So ICD only has AI, data analytics, financial technology, IoT, security, and visual analytics track. Yeah, all these are ICD centric. Yeah, so it's very difficult for an ICD student to take EPD courses unless they take the EP minor. Yeah, so I would say this is the thing. So if you really want to have best of both worlds, I would say definitely for the CE track, if you take certain, let me go back to CE track. If you take certain courses, they will definitely go through programming, but it's not like they will start at the advanced level. Many of these courses are still introductory 5, 50.001, 50.002, 50.003, 4, and 7. All these are introductory ICD classes where you can check the prereq, right? You can definitely take them. So I don't think you need to worry. But I think the point is, if you're going to do ICD, right, you must be prepared for some programming. I mean, the whole idea of ICD is programming. It's very hard to imagine going to take a few classes and then you don't do programming. I think even in EPD, we do a programming. Yeah, some programming in the sense. Yeah, it's very hard to, at least in this day and age, to not go to your new workplace and say, I don't know how to code. I think, no, I think almost everybody, even an architect in SUTD will know how to code. Yeah, so I think no need to worry. Don't feel like this is something that you're worried. Just embrace it. And I think you will enjoy it a little more.
Yep. And then I think this is now the top Slido question. And I think this is, designed for people like Hongyi and Chikai. There's a student who is very interested in both 3D printing and healthcare. What are the modules that they should take if they're interested in these two particular areas? So Hongyi and Chikai, which one of you want to go first?
Ladies first.
I think the courses, there is no one course that breach, like cover both. So you have to choose combination of courses that fulfill, either one of them. So I think the straight answer is that these two separate track, you have to choose one, but you can always, in your elective option, choose classes from the other tracks that you're interested in, right? I think 3D printing and healthcare is indeed a pretty hot topics in the industries. I think Chikai probably have a lot to say too.
Yeah, I agree, Hongi. So healthcare is very broad-based. When you do healthcare track, you'll find that there are quite a number of courses that you can take. Of course, we can't cover everything healthcare. It's just too much. But we have a number of courses that are very popular. Now, 3D printing is quite different from healthcare in terms of that, because healthcare is like an entire industry. Whereas 3D printing is just a technique, a technology, which is an enabler for many industries. So I also see that quite a number of you, even at your freshman, when you're doing projects, 3D printing became your tool, right? And I believe some of you might even own a FDM at home. You can do some simple printing like 3i monsters and all kind of hobby stuff. So Hongi is right in that there's no combination of these two. But if you take courses by and large throughout your 4 years, 3D printing will somehow appear somewhere. But if you want to know 3D printing in depth, then this is the course to take. All the others, yeah, basically just maybe use FDM to do some printing, and that's all you know, using one particular technology. If you know the entire landscape of 3D printing, then no choice, you'll probably have to take this course. Now, I know this course is compulsory for this track. There were also students last year, I think they were in other tracks, they were interested to take this, but for some reason, I think they could not. Xiaohui may help me here. I think they were in ME track, and they wanted to take this course, but it was not possible. Xiaohui, can you remember the case?
Uh,
I think Bernie.
It's very likely timetable clash, is it?
Yeah.
Usually
but
that's the reason.
if they submit the combination beforehand, we will actually try to fix it beforehand. It could be the last minute decide, hey, I want to take, then yeah, it's a bit hard for us to do that.
So in answer, actually, one of the students here was also typing the question into the chat. I think they are concerned now. Let's say if they are on the healthcare track, can they still take this 3D printing class?
Okay. Actually, in general, in principle, we don't mind, because to me, 15, 20, 25 students, there's no issue. When I taught this in NTU, I had 100 students in the class. So in terms of numbers, not an issue. Just that if you have a lot more, then we need a lot more resources because they'll be doing printing. The only problem, I think, what Meiji has said correctly, is timetabling. So sometimes if you want to take certain courses, they are in certain very tight spot. So timetabling is a very complex issue, not easy to solve. Even AI cannot solve timetabling, you know. Serious, because of resource constraint. We have only so many classrooms, so many hours in a day, and so many lecturers. So it's always difficult for us to fit everything. Yeah. So we will try our best. Like I said, if it's okay, we'll say yes to everything. But the problem is always timetabling.
Okay. And then I think this is the next, it seems like a very important question. One I didn't anticipate, which is whether or not will they be able to choose their own group mates when they go to the pillar years. Xiaohui, are you aware of that?
I think this one, it really depends on the instructor. Some of them let the students to self-formulate. Some of them, they really sort of divide you. Yeah, I think this one, we don't have a hard rule. It's really depend on the instructors. And and for my course, I follow when I was teaching class, I followed the 3077 grouping so that they don't have to have so many groupings. Yeah.
Now, because to be frank, I've taught, let's say, one of the classes over the years, all right? There are some years where students complain that I don't let them choose. There are some years that the students complain to me that I let them choose, right? Resulting in them not being able to find a group. And I kind of go like, what do you guys really want, right? So I think, to be frank, I think all the different subjects, depending on the instructors, right? There'll be different philosophies, but you will have enough of an option, right? Some classes that will let you choose, some classes that don't. Right, broadly. So this question is in the chat, which is about the EE track. Can they, if they choose EM, can they audit fluid mech? I think can, right? Because this is another general question about overloading, right? Because I think some students minor and they find that they need to overload, then what can they do? Yeah.
Yeah, you can either do it two ways. If you want to take more classes, you can either do it two ways. One is, of course, overload, and the other is audit. Audit means, overload means the grade counts. Audit means the grade don't count. Yeah.
Yeah. So generally speaking, I think it works, all right. But if let's say you want to take a minor and fulfill the requirements, right, then you really have to actually potentially overload. And will it basically affect your GPA? Yes, I mean, it is part of the minor requirements. So you actually need to take that class, all right. Okay, I am still going for the more general questions as well as the ones that are typically upvoted first. All right, so give me a moment. I'm still looking through the questions. All right. Oh yeah, if just this is really another very fun fact, all right. I think till today in SUTD, there has just been one student who overloaded every term to the point that when it was his final term, he had only one subject left to take, and that's capstone. All right, and I think till today in SUTD, historically, I only know of that one student, right? For students who really want to know that. It was so that you can go out and start working earlier also. Okay, I don't know how to answer this question. This is a student who's asking, is owning a 3D printer recommended or helpful for the EPD tracks?
Yes.
I ever received a question the other way around. So I don't have a 3D printer, will I be disadvantaged?
Shini has the answer, huh, Shini?
I think owning a 3D printer is good. Not sure if you guys have felt the rush because in term, I think last term you guys had your own 3D printers, right? Like in the at the Fab Lab. But then when it came to like submission time, everybody wants to print, everybody wants to rush their project out. So the queue can get quite long, and like Fab Lab has feedback like themselves saying that they cannot manage. And a lot of your prints are like a few hours long or like overnight printing. So that can take up, you have to wait like 3 days, right? So definitely if you own a 3D printer or somebody in your group owns a 3D printer, you will definitely have an advantage of not being stressed out when it comes to submission. And I think for prototyping purposes, it is quite useful as well. So if you can afford it, I would recommend you to get one. Yeah.
You guys are very fortunate. When I started 3D printing in 1990, every printer is at least 6 digit, few 100,000. My first printer I bought was $500,000. So today you're all so fortunate, right? You can buy one for 3 digit. Yeah. So why not? I agree with Shini, you have the advantage. If not, then not to worry, you will because we still have printers in ARMS as well as in the Fab Lab. Just that you have to join the queue.
Okay, another quick question is still about the grouping, all right, because I think many of you are in the first year, all right, I would call it the pandemic year. So your groupings were decided by OSA and not by the instructors or, by the students. Well, they had their reasons why they had to do that, as apparently got to do with the safe management measures. But so far, I would say that in the pillars, most of the decisions in terms of the grouping is either by the professors or by the students, all right? As far as I know, OSA has not intervened in terms of this decision yet, all right? Okay, then the next question. This is a question I think will be down basically Hong Yi and my alley, all right? It is related to the material science track. Right? There are questions ranging from, why was a track removed? If I'm interested in material science or if I'm interested in chemistry, is this still a suitable pillar, right? My answer to you is that, of course, yes. EPD amongst all the pillar has the most material science faculty. All right. The thing is, the material science related courses for the material science track are all still there. All right, so you can take it under the self-directed option, all right, and take the relevant areas. Okay, so in that sense, it is still possible to take those classes. All right, But if you have a specific interest within material science, where you really want to know more about it, again, you can talk to many of the material science faculty available in EPD about how to focus it in your self-directed track. I think we'd be all happy to guide you towards how that can be done. Why it was removed, generally speaking, is just the number of students every year who selected that track at that time, at least, is always a very small handful. So in the interest of being able to focus, it was so-called shifted towards becoming a self-directed area instead, right? It's the same thing. I think that's the reason why we have that whole self-directed track created, is so that we recognize students have very general interests, right? So you could be interested in sustainability, for example. Then you look at EPD, it looks like it don't have sustainability. So can I still be suitable in that sense for EPD? The answer is yes. All right. We do have the classes, that basically you can choose to take that basically addresses the sustainability aspect more, that focuses you in that direction. But we also have to admit, as of now, at least, the number of students with these interests generally not so huge. That's why it's not a formal track. Hong Yi, anything to add?
No, I think you have said it all well. I think one thing that you point out quite right, there are quite a number of faculty in EPD who are actually material scientists. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw a question on the chat box about the state of 3D printer in Fab Lab is very bad. I don't know how true it is, but if it's sure, then I think we should feedback to the undergraduate office. But in EPD, we have the ARMS lab. So for instance, when I did my 3D printing course, the 4 printers over there were for the students to use, and it's sufficient for them to use, and they are in very good state. Furthermore, if you are into research, let's say you do Europe, D-Mandi, which is under Hong Yi, has got a lot of very high-end printers as well. So you go beyond your usual extrusion method. There are many, many other methods that are available there. Multi-jet fusion from HP, polyjet from Stratasys, and even metal printing. There are many types that you can expose. So there'll be opportunity. So I would also strongly encourage all of you to consider doing Europe, because that's a time where you learn a bit more things about research. And some of you may want to think very far. You might want to earn a PhD. Then this is a good chance for you to try different areas as well. Is it you like robotics, or you like this, or you like that? And once you do a couple of Europe, you have some idea on the research methodology as well as an interest area. You can consider doing a PhD as well.
Yeah, I think for related to an earlier question, for those who are in healthcare but interested in 3D printing, that's certainly something that you could explore doing a Europe project, focusing on 3D printing for healthcare applications. There, I think you will be able to kind of learn beyond, the typical printers that you learn in Fab Lab.
Yeah, one area that combines these two is tissue and organ printing. So you can print a tissue and organ is either damaged or diseased. Just like right now with the pandemic, your lungs may be diseased. Otherwise, you're a healthy person. Can we print a pair of lungs, or just a lung to replace the faulty lung? So these are things where you find healthcare and 3D printing actually kind of come together. A very exciting area, organ printing.
Yeah, so that is largely what it has been. All right, so let's see. Now my next top question, I'm going down the list in that sense. Xiaohui, I'm not sure if you can advise on this thing. All right, there's one question here about topics in biomedical versus healthcare product and design. Are you able to elaborate on the differences of these two classes?
What's the difference between these two? They are quite different, I would say. Yeah, I can't remember what's one super class, one is from Xiaojian.
Yes.
Topics in biomedical healthcare is under Prof. Xiaojuan, and then they just basically you learn more about bio, and right now, because I'm in that class right now, right? We're learning about the cardiovascular system, and so we go a bit more in depth and learn about medical terms, and then later on in the term we learn about applications and some of the tools that are used in the medical field. I think for healthcare product design is more on like the tools that are used in the medical fields and like designing I guess like products to be used
So
in that area?
what I do know a little bit, right? So usually for healthcare product design, they would actually work together with CGH. So they actually invite so-called clinicians from CGH to set a problem statement for you guys, for example. And then I know something about groupings, and how basically the different problem statements would be assigned, but it's more, you can say, 30007 for healthcare only. All right, where it really looks towards developing solutions specific to a particular clinical problem, in that area. Whereas topics of biomedical, from what I do know during my conversation with Xiaochen, for example, it's more introductory. It's more really giving you a broad scope of that area. All right, at least that's what I do know. Okay.
I think Xiaochen in her class also has a bit of teaching on the basic bioprinting. She bought a very basic bioprinter, so students can actually work on it. So those are hands-on type. Then the healthcare product design, like what Meiji said, we always work with the clinicians. So students are divided into groups. I think last year there were 8 groups. So 6 from CGH and 2 from KKH, I think. So each project will try to solve a problem statement from the clinicians. And I think it's compulsory that each group will also file a technology disclosure on doing the project, which means you come up with something novel in terms of design. So it's very practical.
Okay. Yes. So I think a question literally just came in. I was thinking between them. All right. So this student is asking about whether or not, they have a very specific interest. I have no idea what it is. It's called 3D modeling. So they are asking, if they're interested in 3D modeling, will mechanical engineering or industry 4.0 be a better choice? So I think Xiaohui or Chikai, would you be able to help?
Oh yeah, I used to teach that in my former life.
Okay.
Nowadays, computer-aided design is almost like a prerequisite. We don't even teach that anymore. And students, even at the JC, they will just spend time and learn Rhinoceros or learn Autodesk, and they'll just learn a package like that. I recall in the old days, I even teach what is actually into a computer-aided design. So we look at 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional modeling, all the different kind of solid modeling being taught. But to be honest, these are things that already are superseded by the more important things that we teach now. So it is not exactly something that is taught at university now, I think, 3D modeling. Yeah, it's something we expect you to be able to learn, almost like coding. You learn how to code, now you learn how to model 3-dimensionally.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say it's like nobody teach you how to use your Microsoft Word, right? You just learn yourself. So I think it gotten such a stage where CAD modeling, right, is like that already. Yeah, I would say that's why we don't actually have a specific class on it. You almost every class once you go into projects, when you design mechanical stuff, when you want to print something, you definitely need to use the software. Yeah, and it's not difficult, very intuitive to pick up. Yeah.
You can go to LinkedIn Learning to learn. They have a lot of videos. Anyway, if you don't mind, all right, because I'm also kind of looking at a time. I think there are so-called 2 big questions. So one question came in previously, that was during the RSVP period, which is about EPD versus industrial design. How do we compare between, say, EPD, this area within SUTD versus, say, industrial design that is offered elsewhere? Hongyi, do you think you can help to address? Yeah.
One very specific difference is the kind of classical industrial design will teach you CAD modeling. So yeah, I think industrial design tends to teach you a lot more, skills, needed or tools needed for design, right? And the industrial design, the difference between EPD and industrial design is that in EPD, we are much more broader, and also we are much more kind of grounded with the fundamentals. So there are, very basic engineering courses, that cut across, the different engineering discipline. So we are a lot broader than the traditional industrial design. Like industrial design, for example, could also cover, manufacturing system design, right? But here in EPD, that would be a particular track, so industrial design could be, for example, a specific track in EPD. So that's in a nutshell a major difference, I think. I don't know.
Okay.
I think if anyone else want to chime in here.
Mm.
I don't know. I always feel that industrial design gives me the idea that the focus is on aesthetics, whereas our engineering design is very much on function. That's why you learn a lot of things, electronics, dynamics, structures. It's all about function. So when you have a product, it's a product that must give reliability to the customers. And for reliability, therefore, you must have function that lasts.
Yeah. So I think
that's my
those are
short,
what,
short
yeah. So those,
explanation.
yeah. So those I think will be, you can say the differences are, but I would say that there are also similarities, right? The part that it overlaps that I think in SUTD we embrace quite a bit would be the design thinking aspects, right? Where the user-centric point of views are actually, taken into account even during the engineering design aspects. And I think that is what you will see in the various classes, right? That's why it's not just design, X item that will fulfill, this, XYZ list of functions, right? But also taking into account the user needs and requirements in that sense. Xiaohui, anything to add?
No, I think that's about right.
All right. So I think this last bit of question, I think I open it to basically, Shinyi, if you want to answer, you also can answer. Doran, if you want, you can also chime in. But basically, there's this burning question now, it seems, where they are asking, is the bachelor's degree in engineering product development actually recognized everywhere in the world? Who is the brave soul?
I say yes.
Okay, good.
Because so hi guys, I'm Doron. I'm one of the alumni. I've graduated a long time ago and I'm still working in school. But your bachelor's degree is recognized everywhere in the world because, quite frankly, after you come out and let's say you work in a job for 2 years, right? No one is going to care what degree you took or what honors you graduated in. Let's be real, okay? Like, your JC only matters until first year in uni. After that, no one cares. Okay, then your bachelor degree only matters until your first year of working. After that, no one cares. So your job here in uni is to just learn as much as you can. And when I say learn as much as you can, seriously, it's not about what they teach you in class. You have to learn, as you can see, as they've been talking about, you learn a lot more in the projects, in outside of class, learning by yourself. To be fair, as someone who's worked in research, which is very close to what SUTD does for over 5 years, there is no single project that I've worked on at work which has direct correlation to a class that I took. Meaning to say there's no class that directly gave me the skills I need to do when I work in this project. No, you're supplied with a lot of know-how and a lot of formula and stuff, and you have to extrapolate from there. That's how work is. So please be very worried about what you need to learn, but don't expect to be taught everything that you need to learn. You need to go and learn it by yourself. And about your degree, seriously, it is recognized. The school has assured you, the newspapers assured you, the government assured you, it will be recognized. But once you get out there, it's up to you to make your own mark.
I see. This is our EPD first year pioneer student. All right. So anyone else want to say anything, Chikai, or anyone?
Is it the last question?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe if I can share, I've been a student a long time ago, but I think the very important thing in life is actually beyond your studies. So if you can take home, I hope to share these 3 points with you. First is H&H, health and happiness, very important, all right? No doubt you can study and all that, but you must take care of your health, and especially in today's context, and happiness. Always try to be happy. So laughter, they say, is the best medicine. So H&H. Later there'll be a quiz. Next is F and F. Not food, family and friends. Don't forget your family, don't forget your friends. Your friends now will become your network in the future. So try to make good friends, try to be buddy to everyone. And last but not least, statistics have shown over the world that you find your life partner 60% in university. So that's my last message. All right, graduate with a degree, fine. Try to graduate also with a merit cert. No lah, at least a life partner, someone. So don't forget to look around. Remember your hostel neighbor or the classmate. Keep your radar open. Always look out who is the one who can be your life partner. See, Catherine is smiling. So very important. I found my life partner in universities. 2 of my kids did. So I think likely you'll find one as well. Boon Pin, remember me. So 3 years later, I'll check with you. Okay, so hopefully these are wise words for you to remember. Okay.
Yep.
And all
Yeah.
the best. I hope you will join us. And anyway, I left my handphone number behind. Anytime you feel you want to disturb me, just WhatsApp me. Don't worry about disturbing me. I'm a workaholic. I love WhatsApps. Just WhatsApp me. You ask Hong Yi, I answer all the time.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so in terms of the recognition of the degree, I will really share that, basically they may not know you at first glance, but they certainly remember you. All right. This is at least basically the students whom I've spoke with who were very successful in their so-called interviews, were either with global companies or let's say, those students who managed to get themselves into your ETH, your Stanford, your Cambridge. These are top schools, right? They shared, at first when they applied, there were a lot of questions, but basically when they left the interview, they were definitely leaving behind a very good, impression. So I think the recognition, this is a very young university, all right? I think we will gradually improve over the years, all right? But honestly, we are counting on you guys to represent us well, all right? So that is what I can say about that. Now, I recognize that there are some very specific questions that we couldn't get into, all right? Again, I think through basically EPD administrators, Catherine and Nadia, we will try to address them specifically because it is really way too specific. But if you have questions for other students who's very worried, all right, if I'm interested in materials, chemistry, nanotech, and I need to choose subjects, right? What subjects should I choose? Again, you have the academic mentors to talk to, all right? And even if, let's say, you want to reach out beyond your academic mentors and, let's say, approach other faculty members, there's a lot of us in this area, whether it's the materials, the chemistry, or the nanotech area. I think we are one of the few schools that actually offer a class in micro and nanotech specifically. Hong Yi here is the one teaching it. All right. So again, please consider basically, asking us if you have any further questions. We will really try to address them. And make a good choice for yourself, right? Based on what you think will benefit you. Don't worry too much about being able to find a job. My philosophy has always been, if you're good at what you're doing, you'll find a good position. All right. Xiaowei and Hong Yi, any other closing words?
No. I hope this session has been useful for the students. As I said at the beginning, feel free to drop us an email if you want to find out more. We are, I think our work professor is the most approachable popular. His mobile phone number is openly shared. So yeah, just feel free to approach us if you have any question at all related to your selections, questions, and so on.
Yeah. So Xiaowei, anything?
Oh, I think that my last words, I wanted to say that is our degrees are accredited. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that. We spend a lot of effort to ensure that it's accredited. Believe us. Yeah.
Okay, will the recording be uploaded or shared? Probably, I think so.
I will share the
Chikai,
link.
I'm going to
Yeah.
need your handphone number again.
Timothy.
And And Shinyi, you know, and Note, I think they are always there, you know, and I'm very, very thankful for Shinyi and Note, honestly, for all the support that they have given in terms of connecting and helping us bridge this gap between the students and the faculty, all right? So if she needs you guys to come in, you know, to help Note, all right, to be the next EPD representative, please volunteer yourself. All right, I think she'd be happy to share with you, right, the great part about interacting with this very happy bunch. All right, so again, thanks everyone. I think there's not very much further. All right, it's a Friday, you know. Basically, we can, you know, go back, relax, have a good weekend. Right, nothing much. Nadia, Catherine, did I leave out anything? No more, right?
So we will share out the link to the video recording as well as the slides. And then for all the freshmores who have registered, we will send out the vouchers to you by email by end of next week.
Yeah, enjoy a $10 voucher. Thank you.
Think of us when you eat. Okay.
Happiness.